Our hotel was decent, but next to a lumber yard, so it was a touch noisy. There was a young couple that owned this motel. She ran the motel, he drove a taxi. I wish these two nothing but success and happiness. Hardest working young people I've seen. Today we're heading off to Kamloops, and then we're going to continue on up to Jasper. The intention was to take the 5A, but my brother seemed to have different ideas. Despite my arm waving, yelling, and cursing, my brother decided to take the exit for the 5, which is the Coquihalla Freeway, instead of the 5A, which would have been a more scenic secondary highway. Judging from how fast he was tearing this highway up, he must have been in a bit of a hurry. Or I guess the other possibility is, he was just tired of me and trying to get away from me. The Coquihalla is still a very scenic highway. The only downfall is there's no place to pull out and get some pictures like there would have been on the 5A. Here's some of the scenery we saw back in 2009 when we took the 5A. As you can see here, it's overcast, but not raining. This is one of the few good weather days we had on that trip. It was still a good time though. As you can see, my brother is nowhere to be found. He left me in the dust pretty good. I think he was really interested to see what this new to him Suzuki could actually do. We didn't stop in Kamloops, as it's only about an hour out of Merritt. Since we'd already eaten breakfast and fueled up, there was no need, so we just passed on through. We continued on to Highway 5 north of Kamloops, which follows along the North Thompson River. This is a very scenic valley. The highway's in good shape, and generally traffic isn't too bad until you get a little further north, and that's where you start hitting lots of construction. Now the landscape in this area is different from where I'm from. Out here, the trees are pine rather than spruce. They seem to grow a lot sparser, and it allows for meadows to grow around the bases of them, rather than just having nothing growing at all or a bunch of thick underbrush. Very beautiful. The landscape through this valley seems to be large grassy hills as opposed to rugged mountains. That makes for just one heck of a scenic ride coming through here. Now further north on Highway 5, we started to hit a lot of construction. However, it's not all road construction. You can see off to the side there's a few completed areas which are just backfilled dirt. This takes place all along this highway, basically all the way up to Jasper. Now some of these sections are done, but the areas where they aren't tend to back up a bit. Now this is where they're building the Trans Mountain Expansion Pipeline. This basically just follows the old pipeline road which was built in the 1950s. Unfortunately, this led to us having to stop quite a few times on the highway to wait for traffic. It's not a huge deal, but at least it gave us time to take in the scenery. Our first fuel stop is in Lewis Creek. Now since Jeff's bike has such a small bladder, we need to stop about every 150 kilometers. For touring scenic highways, that's not so bad. Now if we're trying to put on like a 1,000-kilometer travel day, that is going to get tedious. Just grabbing some fuel in Lewis Creek. We're heading north towards Jasper today. This is actually a very scenic highway. It's nice, a little congested, but maybe it'll thin out the further north we get. Here's to hoping. Being from the prairies, I really love these roads. They're curvy and scenic, but they're not so curvy that you can't take in all the beauty, and they're just curvy enough so not to be boring. My brother just had to use my Leatherman to pull one of my earplugs out. I shoved it in too far, so be careful with that. Every 4 years during the fall, Chinook salmon will make their way upstream to their place of birth in order to spawn. Clearwater is one of the places where this happens, among others. As you head north on Highway 5, the terrain changes from rounded tree-covered mountains to the more rugged gray snow-tipped peaks that I'm used to seeing from Calgary. Just taking a stop in Blue River to get some gas. Our next stop is going to be Mount Robson, and then we're off to Jasper after that. And then we'll have to do the eternal struggle of trying to find an affordable motel in Jasper. I'm pretty sure that'll be hard to come by. Where Highway 5 meets the 16, you cross over the Fraser River. This is the longest river in BC at 1,375 kilometers. Mount Robson is the highest peak in the Canadian provinces at 12,972 feet. The highest peak in Canada is Mount Logan at 19,551 feet, which is located in the Yukon Territory. This is just another example of the cool, overcast weather we experienced in 2009. That's actually a good view of Mount Robson. Usually you can't see any of it. We're only missing about the top quarter. Pretty good view of it today. So I slammed a speed bump really hard, and of course the engine block took the brunt of it. But don't see any leaks, don't see anything broken. So I guess it's all good. If I see a puddle of oil in the morning, well, I guess that's my fault. So far so good. Tough engine block so far. This hotel room only cost me one of my balls. Now, which for tourist season in Jasper really isn't that bad. Fortunately, it was my left ball, which is the smaller of the two. But at the end of the stay, I'm still down a ball, so pricey hotel room. On the original trip in 2009, it periodically rained on us for 5 out of 7 days. The only really good weather we had was the last half of the first day and the last half of our final day. Dad and I had to sit in a hot tub once we hit Jasper for 2 hours just to get the chill out of our bones. Now, despite this crappy weather, those are memories I'm going to cherish forever. So we're just at the Jasper Inn and Suites for the night. It's actually quite lovely. It's nice and warm here today. I wouldn't call this affordable, but nothing in Jasper is. So for Jasper, it wasn't bad. But bikes are holding up well. You can see my fork seal is just about giving up the ghost here, but hey, it got me through the trip so far. I still got to get home tomorrow. I got about another 400 or 500 kilometers. And then we're going to be done. So this is our second last day on the road. All is well. Can't complain. We decided to change it up a little bit from a burger, because fish is much healthier, right? Even if it's deep fried? Anybody?